This is what's going on. And so you have Moors who are supporting the Republic, and the people think they're out to lunch because they think they demos. And then they're trying to give legitimacy to a de facto government because they don't know what de jure is. De jure didn't stop being because they set up de facto. This is the Clearfield Doctrine again. Read it. Wait. Can I use your respected QLs? Right here. Note, bottom paragraph. Commercial paper and securities, which means those checks, those Federal Reserve notes, and that's anything associated with it. So that means the birth certificate, marriage certificate, all the Social Security, all these instruments that they used to regulate these security notes, because that's what they exist for, right? The privately owned Federal Reserve notes, FRNs, and the corporate states created birth certificates as constructed by, used by, and sold by the private foreign owners, officers, employees, beneficiaries, profiteers, agents, and agencies doing business as the United States of America Corporation Company, and their, chartered and licensed franchisees, etc., have been and are deceptively traded as fungible instruments. Such practices have been and are declared by the United States Supreme Court as being criminal and felonious violations of the law. Securitization, that's what is being done, which is the process and practice of homogenizing financial instruments into fungible securities, and selling such felonious instruments on the securities market is unlawful and illegal for private corporations. HJR 2847, bail-in, confiscation of assets, blah, blah, blah. At what point is that a lawful contract? When the highest court in the land is declaring all that stuff a fraud. And how are we going to say it's binding? Everything they're doing is under color of law and force of arms. This is why the civilized world is turning on them. And so what I'm saying is I do not refute that the operative use of these instruments implies, not establishes, an implied obligation that still, in fact, does not exist. That which is created in an illusion remains an illusion. That which is created under a color of law remains a color of law. Thus, the highest court in the land has declared all of those fungible instruments that they homogenize as unlawful and fraud. Tell me where it is obligatory.
But when you're buying and selling,
that's not what I asked you.
Okay, when you're buying and selling with the
you're not buying. You can't buy because it can't be paid.
Okay.
Because it's movement of the state. It's not movement of. House Joint Resolution. United States. You can't pay a debt with a homogenized securities instrument. It must be done with substance. It's in violation of law of money. You can't call it money.
I agree with that.
So you can't be, you ain't even been paid.
You're discharging.
Now, all right. Now, according to the public law and international law, under rule of occupation, we're under occupation. The estate is ours. By them violating the Constitution, by virtue of that act, the remedy is that all so-called debts are discharged automatically. However, what they've been doing is fraudulently misrepresenting it, sending you statements of account, telling you that there's bills, and telling you have to pay by listing you as a debtor instead of a creditor. That's all it is. That's all it is.
But are they
you have no obligation.
Are they doing something illegal if you're a citizen?
A citizen of what?
Of the United States.
Which one?
And the 14th Amendment, United States. The corporate constitution, the 14th Amendment.
Well, the 14th Amendment is a corpse. It's dead. Are you dead?
If you're using
no, I'm just saying.
If you're using the social, then yes, you are. You're one and the same.
Well, you listed as dead. Now, that's what we need to qualify. Now, this is why it's important for people to know law books, know the terms, know how they should be prospectively placed when we're making these discussions, and stop admitting to be dead when we are indeed not. So the issue is a person, natural, who is not in their proper person, Go, law book. If anybody got on your computers. Fourth, go into impropriate persona. Impropriate persona, please, real quick, and read it out real quick. Now, if a plea is made before any court, in the argument, etc., it must be pled in propria persona. For if not, the court is assumed to have had leave because an attorney or lawyer is an officer of the court, and if you're not in your proper person, the court automatically has jurisdiction. And so since court is not just those rooms, it's society in general, and all transactions are made, anything that takes place in what you call an aggregate court is only for the what you call final resolution, when all aggregate is considered and all the dross is moved away, and you come with the scales of what's left. And you better be in your proper person. And if you're in your proper person, all that color stuff don't count. That's why they don't want these people to know nothing about nationality. That's why they created the color code system, so that we'd be outside of the human family. And then buying and selling, not with their instruments, thinking that we're buying and selling with the mark or the number of their name, which makes you agency of movement of your own damn estate. We need to really refine what's really going on. Stop talking about, we paid this, and since we got Social Security, and since we had $2, you didn't have no dollars. Dollars, gold, silver coin. Stop calling the fiat dollar. We got to stop calling things what they're not. Because when you do, it is no different than we before court, right? Before so-called court, right? And you said, Todd, you had your sneaks tied together on Thursday. It's against the rules too. Damn, man. No wonder I was walking slew-footed. Then I say, since that's the case, we dealing with admiralty law here, so we're not dealing with constitutional law, we're dealing with estates and trusts and stuff. All right, so I sign you trustee, and since I'm the beneficiary, I want you to expunge all this mess. And give me $550, how much? $550 from the few minutes I got right here. Meaning that you create a trust on the spot verbally. Why? Because you're an heir to the estate, if you knew that. That's how that's done. That's why it's done. That's why you can assign them right on the spot, even with a verbal trust. But if you call him officer, you also assign him that too, and he accepts it. Call him judge, he accepts that. We really need to be clear on what's going on. And I'm not dismissing what you're saying. What I'm saying is the way the European presents it, and it's a muddied argument. Because they're still trying to claim an estate that ain't theirs. Go ahead, good brother. But I'm not dismissing what you're saying, and we need to work that out. But my whole argument is that we need to clean up the language that the European freemen are presenting, because it's still colored. The principle of the argument is valid, but it's still distorted. And if you take it just like it is, you give them just enough to do what? This is what you do. Why do they create LLCs? Limited liabilities, corporate entities, to hide behind. That's the mask. Personality, Latin, mask. Am I right, Salah? Personality, mask. Oh, and then you start talking to, and I wrote Santa Claus 10 years. And UCCs too. I ain't got a bike yet. I'm suing him. Well, you'll probably be arguing with Santa Claus for the next 10, 20 years because he's a fiction. Why don't you argue about that guy who got the suit on? We keep arguing the corporate person in the first person. We need to stop doing that, pull the mask off them, identify the persons, because as soon as you say citizen, you must name the nation state. Now, oh, you're an Englishman. No, I'm American. No, you ain't, sucker. Go ahead. But you get the point. You get the point where I'm coming from with that. They're admiralty courts. Yeah, they're admiralty courts. And as a matter of fact,
when you go in there, as a living, breathing divine spirit, you're not even supposed to be there.
Yeah, but you know,
And you're supposed to know that.
but you know this too. They're not even courts. They're auction blocks. United States courts have
They
been.
are courts, they're legislative courts.
There's no lawful courts in the United States since 1789. Go look at the law. I can bring the documents.
Article 1, Section 8.
For a court to
They can regulate commerce.
they can regulate. They're simply a commercial trading block. They're auction blocks.
But they're Article 1. Each branch of the government has its own court. There are
All right.
Article 3 courts.
I'm not arguing that. I'm not arguing that. Look what we keep falling for. United States federal government has been dissolved. House Joint Resolution 192. They don't have any offices. They've been transferred to the IMF. We keep giving them equality. That's why they keep having the power. And it's not that I'm not arguing. Where you're coming from, I'm not arguing that. This is what I'm trying to do with us. We got to stop empowering them by claiming something. This is what we're talking about. You know, we go to Depot now and we go to Lowe's, right? You remember they had two guys and they had Rickles and Channels? Well, see what we're going to do right here, get some Channel stock. See, because if you cash in the Channel stock, I don't think you should buy Channel stock. Because it's cashable. I don't think you should buy Channel stock. You know, because GM is starting to make saddles. I don't think you should invest. Maybe tires, engines, don't invest in saddles with GM. It's not a good idea. We keep, and now, the argument that we're making is great, and I think that we should bring that out and explain it and talk about what's happening to us. But what I'm really suggesting to you, me, and all of us is that we must look at those arguments and clean the language up because it's colored. It's not the intended, we're not talking about the process that it's not how it works. I'm not arguing that. We're giving them a quality that doesn't exist with them, and you have the power to do it. Yes, one is the fact of law, one is the process of law. Anybody has House Joint Resolution readily available in the printout? Pull that up real quick and read the first two paragraphs, please. United States, this is United States, Florida Congress, the legislature, and so this is where they make so-called laws, right? I want you to get your stuff off, good brother. You cool? All right, sis.
Okay.
Salah.
Yes.
Do your stuff, girl.
Okay. To assure uniform value to
No, House Joint Resolution 192. Trafficant speech on the bankruptcy of the U.S. bankruptcy. U.S., which is a corporation company. Y'all got to get clear. The U.S., United States Corporation Company, is not the United States Republic. It has no governmental powers whatsoever. I got it right here. Let me borrow Ken's spectacles. This is the Florida Congress. I'm talking about how we supposed to look at this. Now we're talking about how European freemen are arguing this thing, trying to still get themselves in. Because they're all U.S. You not. Mr. Speaker, we are now here in Chapter 11, and members of Congress are official trustees. So if there's trustees, that means there's an estate. So if they're trustees, they damn sure can't be the beneficiaries. All right. Presiding over the greatest reorganization of any bankrupt entity in world history, the U.S. government, we are setting forth, hopefully, a blueprint for our future, and there are some who say it's a coroner's report that will lead to our demise. So you see the dilemma that the European so-called citizens are in? Because they the U.S. It is an established fact that the United States federal government has been dissolved. So what franchise that they got or what stock they got is legitimate? Any corporate entity that's dissolved, what do you mean they got stock? What do you mean anything that they create is lawful? Anything that they do, anything they operate is dead. They're a private citizen, no different than anybody else, thus the Clearfield Doctrine, which I gave y'all before we came here, before we started. Clearfield Trust Company. It was inadvertently concerning a check. But in doing so, they undid themselves with their damn greed. Clearfield Trust Company versus United States 38 U.S. 371, 1942, 43. Governments descend to the level of a mere private corporation and take on the characteristics of a mere private citizen, where private corporate commercial paper, Federal Reserve notes, FRNs, and securities, checks, is concerned. For purposes of suit, such corporations and individuals are regarded as entities entirely separate from government. What U.S. court? We got to be clear on what's up. We keep giving them qualities, and when you give it to them, they accept it. This is all I'm saying.
That's all fiction. That's all fiction. And we're acquiescing to the fiction because we don't know.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that.
We don't know what constitution that we're operating under.
Yeah, but they're not operating under any constitution. Listen. All right. Constitution. Let's back up. Let's back up. Article 6, Constitution for the United States of America, the Republic. All debts and contracts entered into before the adoption of this Constitution shall be binding against the United States under this Constitution as under the Confederation. And all treaties made or which shall be made in pursuance thereof shall be the supreme law of the land. And the judges of every state shall be bound thereby. And any laws or constitution of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. We're Moorish Americans. We have a treaty that superseded, which Obama talked about. We enforce that constitution, and they are bound. And our claim supersedes their claim. Now, you're talking about the problem that the Europeans, U.S. citizens have, not Moors. Because we're holding them to the law. And we're not bound by some secondary constitution crap that Ben and them did in 1871 with their tripping, and then with them setting up their democracy order, which they had no authority to do whatsoever. That fraud can't supersede this Constitution.
Islam, brother right here, he want to ask questions.
All right, goodbye. Go.
I was just going to ask you, based on what...
I just want to make that point, but I'm not denying what you're saying. I'm not denying what they're doing. I'm just saying we need to look at it differently.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, good brother.
Just 1 second. So, based on what you said, so what is the role of Obama in all of that? Like, what is Obama doing in, the whole thing? Like,
He's put his neck on the line. Lucky he didn't get shot.
no,
But I'm just saying, he's obligated because he's the praetor of that corporation. But what he did, he set out strong signals. It's on us to act on it. We've been trained to look for sacrificial lambs. When they gonna lay his neck on the railroad track like the other guys, like Malcolm and all the rest of them, when they try to tell us we disses them, and then after they kill them, then we talk about what great men they are. We good at that. And we need some more sacrificial lambs. No, we need to take damn responsibility. Honor our mothers and fathers, declare our nationality, understand the signals that he sent. Because I can show you a picture big as day. Just type in the computer. What does Obama have to say about the Moors? And duh. And if you can't read between the lines, and the people saying, what he done for the black man? It's like, whew. We need to grow up. Stop trying to be phonies, everybody that we're not, and then complaining about the results of our own foul. Look up, do me a favor, next time you come, go to your law book, look up the common law, and look at the aggregate basis of the common law, and please take 10 minutes next time you come and report it to the family. And you will see the common law trumps the Roman law, the civil law, and other types of law, as it traces back to what? Archaic traditions and customs, which means if you can't trace back to the ancient traditions and customs of your forefathers, you can't use the common law. This is why the Europeans, those so-called European free guys and stuff, that's why they running into problems. Because you know what the judges telling them? You can't use the Constitution as a defense because you're not party to it. But guess what? We can, because we got a treaty that supersedes it. How about that? Sealed by Article 6. That's what we're supposed to be saying. So these other constitutions that they created, it ain't our shit. That's their private corporate stuff. That ain't got a daggone thing to do with you, unless you keep on saying it do.
Charge.
Okay, go ahead.
In the preamble, where it says, we the people of the United States.
Yes.
And then when it get into the end, it says the United States of America.
Yes, two different entities.
The United States would be the corporation, correct?
No, the United States would essentially deal with the aggregate natural. The United States of America is a corporate entity.
So I thought the United States of America would be the land, and the United States would be the corporation.
Now, no, the land is Morocco. It's covered up, it's Societas Republica El Almorocanos, covered up by the United States of America. In other words, that's the veil. That's the veil. Do you understand? And so what you have is the United States, in order to secure our posterity, etc., that simply represents the unity. And so that represents treaty and the Constitution, which is a covenant, is essentially for them to do business on our land. And this is the bind. And as soon as they break it, there's nothing for them to say. There's no authority to do anything, period. The key is that we fell for the game of transacting business in their names and talking about human beings are crayons. I'm talking about we Smith, Jones, and Johnson and Christians, thinking it's a religion, and gave up our birthright. To that, I agree that we were in violation. Do you understand? But outside of that, there's no claim that they can make in any color of law and talk about it as binding, because it ain't binding. As soon as you or anyone makes a refutal or rebuttal against that, they will declare it a nullity. As an example, when you all see, because I know our time is short, how much time I got? All right. Some of y'all seen, and some of you have used it, and people have used it around the world, and also mostly in North America, that allodial permit that we put on the website. Now, when I built the community center in Buena Vista, the Europeans came there, put their orange tags on it, blah, blah, blah. You know, stop. You can't be doing this and blah, blah. Now, that's, so the brothers, you know, property, et cetera, I'm building this community center. So nationalized them real quick, et cetera. And we did a removal, a writ of removal, and then took it to Superior Court, right? Knowing that still they're all colored, right? And the Pellegrini is the name of the European so-called big-time lawyer with the $2,000 suit type stuff, 2,000 note suit.
These Moors think they ain't supposed to pay taxes and stuff.
In the court, you know, a court's like a theater. I mean, it's so big that, like movie theater on that side and the back and everything. And he says, Raj Bey, you called him up, right? So me and Brother Raj came up, and the Europeans, it was mostly Europeans in there, and they was like, you know, everybody silence, you know, seeing what this is all about, right? And so Pellegrini was saying,
These Moors think they ain't supposed to pay taxes and stuff.
So the judge, magistrate, anyway, he's going, he's doing. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, and he's just talking big trash. Me and Brother Raj sitting up there. You have these papers?
He said, yeah, and they think they ain't supposed, and we have all kinds of violations, and they're building a building down there, 75-foot building by 24, ain't paying no permit and stuff.
You have these papers?
Yeah.
Trial de novo. Mr. Bay, all claims of contempt by Buena Vista, dissolved, don't exist. All fines don't exist. All claims by Buena Vista don't exist. Trial de novo, make sure he gets the papers. Next, he was red and mad and everything. That's when they tried to make me disappear that night. And people use that all, that's where that writ came from. So I constructed that writ, posted it on the building, and every day in the morning we had to come and get it. Europeans was coming around stealing them off the buildings. And I finished building that building. They would ride past, the inspectors was riding past, they wouldn't come on the land. They was mad at me. And I built that community center with that allodial permit. It's based on me understanding who I am and who they damn ain't. When we went down there, Buena Vista, they had the building inspectors and all these people there. Me and Brother Raj walked in there with a suitcase, and they had the 2 pieces of paper and it says, that's permit, you know, the application and permit. And I looked up and said, who's treating? And they looked, and one of the Europeans got up and he walked out. I think he smelled smoke, right? You know, like the vending machines down the corner? No, treaty, right? And it says, owner, applicant, etc. Applicant may be an owner. I said, you ain't signing none of this stuff. Any of y'all got treaty? What are you talking about? I said, do any of y'all got treaty? Well, we're going to increase the fines, you know, because the fines in always already accumulated close to 10,000 notes, right? They, you know, anyway, that's after that we took it to court, took it to the higher court. They was mad. They came in the middle of the night and took me and tried to hide me. They was moving me all around all the jails and everything. Yeah, they was pissed, and a lot of people have been using it ever since. This is also when I did that reversion and the when I did the questionnaire for the foreclosures, when they was trying to sell those people's properties in 211, and Fox News and them was out there, and that shut that down, and Congress sent representatives up and sent, what, 100 some odd million notes or whatever, supposed to be helping these people because the so-called judge wasn't going to give them a stay. They was pissed. The lawyers stopped talking to me after that. I passed that all around, and that's what they've been countering all this stuff about, too. And then you've seen a lot of people were getting conscious, but they started off using the UCCs. Then in the middle of their stride, started trying to declare Moorish nationality. European wasn't having it. It's called a conflict of law. Do you understand what I'm saying? So they've been trying to intimidate a lot of people. But the point that I'm making is this. They're pissed, but if you understand who you are and understand who they are, you mess the system up. My issue with you all is to get us conscious and growing, because some of you will see more than I see and others see. The issue is to build on a solid foundation. We've given you and are giving you foundation information. It's not based on emotion. It's not based on belief. It's based on fact. But you must understand that you're under occupation by European foreign entity persons pretending to be government, your government, but you haven't been acting like it. Therefore, you're being accused of abandoning your estate. According to law, any movements of what you would call transfers of commodities, etc., are simply discharged by law, by international law. What has happened as the people are waking up, the Europeans are really upset because it kills the banks. They're going to close. So they're countering you with colorable actions, not because you're wrong. Are we clear? So what I and recognizing that people start thinking that they're wrong or they need to do something different. They need to solidify their actions, stay on point. But what's happening with a lot of people, they're trying to get a position in the system with a job, so they don't want it to completely fall. Well, it must fall before it can be cleaned up. Do you understand? And so a new world order must come in. The issue is whether it's going to be built on an honorable principle of constitutional law or whether it's going to be built on a colorable code of the secret treaty of Verona. That's what you're faced with. And since we have difficulty making up our mind, China, Russia, India, Brazil, and other nation states, including Germany, their main ally, are now turning and they're dumping them UST bonds. And so whatever investment y'all think y'all got in the system that you keep on trying to get a hold on is done. It's over. So it's in your interest to really study the stuff real quick, get grounded, put your stuff in the state, stop transacting business in that European's name, because he's going to take all your peanut butter sandwiches and the jelly. House
No,
Joint
we
Resolution.
got enough for like 2 more questions, but in the meantime,
Go ahead.
I want to take donations if
Go
anybody
ahead.
can give donations. So anybody has any questions? Anybody? Nobody?
Are we good, y'all?
Tom.
All right. Peace.
One quick question for you.
Yeah, go ahead, good brother.
You talked about 1492, the fall of the Moors at Alhambra. How do you
That bull, at that time, the 1492, that would be called a pontifex. Okay. And then 1493, that's called Inter Caetera Divina. These are the two major bullas that are the foundation of world politics. From those bullas come the Spanish Inquisition, which is the Inquisition against the Moors and Yahudi, or what you call Moors and Jews. The enforcement arm of that, or the agreement of Christendom, or the Christian nations to enforce it, is called the Secret Treaty of Verona. The nuanced instrument by which they take the liberties to murder, kill, claim estates, etc., alter papers, is called the Doctrine of Discovery. Out of that comes the Christian Black Code 1724. After that comes the Black Codes adopted into all the states when they closed the Freedmen's Bureau, and the creation of the 14th Amendment. And then to enforce the 14th Amendment, you got the Buck Act and a whole bunch of other stuff. Once you understand the real history, you know all of these things are tied together. They're given different names so that you don't recognize that they're all the Spanish Inquisition. Now, what you must recognize and what we all must recognize is that in order for them to do business at Morocco, they cannot maintain servitude under Republican form of government. This is why they secretly set up the democracy order. And this is what the meeting on Jekyll Island was, with representatives from England and representatives from the popes. So people must recognize that all of these activities have everything to do with you, the true heir to the estate. When you see the Europeans that are using the middle class, they're trying to act like they're the Americans and they're sovereign, and no, they were the beneficiaries of your being occupied. Don't get it twisted. You're the American, they're the peregrinos. Peregrinos, it means the wandering stranger. That's where you get the word pilgrim from. They're pilgrims, you're the Americans. The sooner you can get that clear in your head, the sooner we can start getting things straight. You understand what I'm saying? You must name the parties. And when you say citizen in law, you're saying nation. So you better know that nationality and citizen go together. They've been using them as if it stands by itself, and they've been getting away with it with people who don't know law. You can't say citizen without naming the nation state. So if you say citizen, what are you, Russian citizen? Oh, what are you, Brazilian? Oh, well, you American. Well, I'm American. No, Brazil? Well, no, I'm American. No, Belize? No, I'm American. No, Chilean? No, I'm American. No, they ain't Americans. They're European Englishmen. Are we clear? You're the American. That's why they altered the dictionaries. That's why they don't. You look at your early Webster dictionary, it'll say what? It's the old copper penny test. As a matter of fact, later they used to do what you call paper bag tests. You know, the dark paper bags. But now it's the copper penny test. Who's the American? Copper complexion people. Ain't got nothing to do with no black people, which is the Paleolith. You ain't black, you're Moors. You know, if they can get you to keep on playing these dizzy games that your overseers keep on pumping on y'all, you're giving up your birthright, and that's how the corporate state's been cheating all your estates. That coupled with you
In 1492, you came upon these shores, 700 years educated by the Moors, 700 years educated by the Moors, educated by the Moors.